Welcome to the Rainy Day Rabbit Holes podcast, your escape from the mundane.
Dive into the rich history of the Pacific Northwest with us and let your mind wander down the rabbit hole.
Because in the Northwest, it's always raining something weird. I am Shay.
And I'm Jody.
Let's fall down the rabbit hole.
I'm back. I have missed doing this podcast and spending time with you, Shay, my BFF.
Most importantly,
me. Actually, yes, absolutely the most important. Soul food right there, over there. Soul food? No.
Soul food?
Soul feeding? Soul energy? I don't know. You feed my soul.
Mostly ramen.
Yeah. Ooh,
Mostly feed your soul.
Ramen and booze.
That's true. Ramen and champagne. Not a great mix, but it works.
It's going to work today.
It is.
I wanted to thank Caitlin from PNW Haunts and Homicides who filled my spot and co-hosted with Shay on Wild. Hold on. What did I write?
Wild Love in the Wild West.
Handwriting. This is why I type things. I want to thank Brian from Spirits and Monsters of Old Seattle podcast, where he filled in and co-hosted with Shay for Free Love, Fraud, and Sawmills, the wild life of Henry Yesler, which was really good. He's wild. The unknown stories were very entertaining. And Kevin from Tyrants in Training. This one's not out yet. It'll be a special episode for our subscribers, but thank you also. So 3 episodes where I was missing in action. I was busy I got punched in the gut by life, and then while I was down, got punched in the knee in the face. So
you were in the perpetual ball kicking machine of life.
Yes. So I'm here like a good Fight Club member. Bloodied and bruised, but I'm here.
Yeah, thank you everyone for helping us out. Really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun to virtually hang out with Caitlin and Brian and Kevin.
Yes.
So great people, all members of our Umbrella Podcast Collective.
I was just going to say that is exactly our community came through. So which is why we started that whole thing.
Yeah. It's been really lovely to have people that you can call on and rely on in situations like this where you just like, hey, I need a pitch hitter for a couple episodes. So I have something to put out. But yeah, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Good. So we're going to reemerge here, or I'm reemerging in Montana, where
like
I was actually
butterfly.
I emerged from Montana. I was born there in Ronan, Montana. So it's kind of a fun story. So Shay, what is the capital of Montana?
Oh, I didn't realize there was going to be a test.
I knew it when I was writing this. I was like, I'm going to
We have discussed on this podcast before that geography and math are my kryptonite.
So
Bozeman.
Helena.
Oh,
you knew it once I said it, though, huh? Everybody. That's how I am with capitals.
It's the only 2 cities in Montana that I could name.
What about Anaconda?
There's an Anaconda. Don't want none of your. Wait, no. How's it go? My Anaconda don't want none of your. Wait, no. How does it go?
You're asking the wrong person.
Oh, here it is. My Anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
Oh, yes.
Hey, that is a Pacific Northwest reference because that is Pacific Northwest, born and bred, Sir Mix-a-Lot, the one, the only, lives 15 minutes from us.
Yeah. Hey, sir. Hey, Sir Mix-a-Lot. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, just go to rainydayrabbitholes.com and reach out.
Yes.
We'll have you on instantly.
Absolutely. We will drop everything. We will quit our jobs. No, I'm kidding.
No, but I will take PTO.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yes, Anaconda, Montana.
That should be their official song.
Would have been the capital of Montana had there not been a bunch of greedy oligarchs in the 1800s.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, this
shenanigans in the 1800s? Never.
Yeah, this story really, it's funny because you think when you read and see the news today, oh, all these things are just out of control. And then you hear this story and you're like, oh, nope, business as usual.
Always been happening.
Business as usual. All right, let's get started. Picture this. It's the late 1800s, 1869 to about 1920 this happens.
Okay, so before statehood.
Before statehood, yes.
Well, I don't, wait, I'm just thinking statehood of Washington State. Do you know when Montana was statehooded?
I did not. I do know because we've done this before on Deer Lodge. It's like 18 or 19. Gosh darn it, I can't remember.
Okay, but it was after Washington.
It must have been 1880 something.
Hey.
And then 1894 is when they start. Oh, there, Google it.
I have a computer in my pocket.
Pull out your pocket computer and find out statehood. I feel like it was 18. I'm going to go with 1892.
1889. November 8th. My mom's birthday.
November 8th.
She's looking great for 240 some odd years old.
No, that's not math.
100 and...
So I've definitely really brought the hard stuff today. Geography and math. I didn't mean to. I swear. I didn't mean to do this to you.
See my prior disclaimer about geography and math before you make fun of me for being dumb. Oh, real quick, too. I want to just say somebody commented on one of our TikTok videos. Just found your podcast really excited. And then a couple hours later, they followed up with, I was very disappointed to hear you don't like museums.
What?
Like, when did we say that? And then I want to respond. Oh, we say a lot of stupid things we don't mean. Because it's very possible that at one point we're like, oh, boring museum. But we were probably talking about a particular museum that was particularally boring. But we love museums.
Yeah,
so I just want to clear that up for the podcast. We love museums.
Well, you better get on there and clear that up because tomorrow's the last day of TikTok. Or today.
Oh,
today.
I'm not going to bother then. But yes, just to clear it up, I am bad at math. I am bad at geography. We love museums.
Clarity. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, where were we?
Oh,
we hadn't gotten past statehood of Montana.
Right.
That was 342 years ago.
We're on sentence 1.
Okay, shut up. Briefly.
All right. The Wild West is transitioning from cowboys and saloons to something arguably worse. Rampant capitalism.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Here we go.
Here we go. I think America was born on rampant capitalism, but
I think so too.
I mean, that's what makes us so amazing. That's why we're the leader of everything in the whole world.
Because we need 2-day shipping.
Butte, Montana, a little mining town in the middle of nowhere, is about to blow up, literally and figuratively. Oddly, this all takes place during Civil War. When they start getting geared up to do this mining, it's during the Civil War. And I just find this what a juxtaposition over, on the east side of our country, we're fighting for the future direction of the country. And then on the west, we're unbothered and continuing to,
like war?
to conquer. Yes. Conquer and become rich. And yeah, it just seems like the same country was not going through the same thing in different parts. Why? Because underneath Butte, Montana was a metric crap ton of copper.
That is an official scientific term.
That's what I was thinking. There's an actual measurement that goes with it, but I won't go into it. Just kidding.
And also metric because it makes more sense.
Right. Metric does make more sense. All right. So the Gilded Age of copper was king. You needed copper for all the new shiny things, telegraphs, telephone wires, and electric grids because Thomas Edison was busy inventing. Mining for copper was as valuable as mining for gold had been in 1849.
Wait, I'm going to stop you. Thomas Edison was busy taking credit for other people's inventions. Let's just clear that up. Okay. On with the story.
No, the rabbit hole. They called Butte the richest hill on earth because Americans are nothing but subtle.
The richest hill on earth.
Yeah, we'll get to the current state of this richest hill on earth by the end of this story. And speaking of subtle, let me introduce you to the 4 men who decided they were going to fight over Butte's copper like it was the last woman in town.
Which was a thing back then.
Right, exactly. These mining towns for sure. First up, William A. Clark. So Clark was your classic rags to riches guy. He started off as a dirt poor kid in Pennsylvania, and like many self-respecting 19th century entrepreneurs, he decided to make a living by exploiting other people's hard labor.
Oh, like you do.
Like you do. Actually,
that's the best way to success.
He was just scrappy. He he had nothing. So he was going to make something out of nothing. And whatever it took, he would see a need somewhere and then he would profit off of it. These miners are working in the mines for $1 a day, but they don't have time to really go get food, right? They can't go out and hunt and prepare food and go grocery shopping or whatnot. So he rolls in like with eggs, $3 a dozen. These guys are making $1 a day.
3 days worth of labor
wages for a dozen eggs.
Jeez.
Yeah. So he just, everywhere he went, he made sure to wring it out of you.
Jeff Bezos?
He looked like, and he reminds me of, I'm pretty sure, the Monopoly banker.
Oh, the mustache?
Yeah. Well, he doesn't quite have that great of a mustache, but he does have a mustache. He's short.
Does he have mutton chop whiskers?
No. Just the mustache, but it's a good thick one across his lip, but not with the handlebars or anything like that.
I love.
He was always wearing a dapper suit. He's kind of short and fat, and basically says whether or not you're going to get any money.
He is the Monopoly man.
Yeah, he is. He dabbled in everything from farming, teaching, lawyering, and then he finally struck gold. Well, technically copper, but struck copper doesn't have the same ring to it. So no one says that.
It doesn't flow off the tongue.
No. By the 1880s, Clark had become the richest man in Montana. How? By building a monopoly on mining, smelting, and railroads and banks. He controlled the bank in the area, and he controlled whether or not you could buy property.
He was the Monopoly man.
Yes, he controlled whether you could buy into the mining industry.
So he controlled claims.
Claims, that's the word I was looking for. He controlled the claims, and he controlled whether or not you could get credit. He controlled whether or not you would get repossessed. He controlled it all.
So he had a monopoly on the mining industry.
Right. He is.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure they made this after him, the Monopoly guy after him.
I think that's going to have to be part of our title.
Monopoly.
Yeah. The 1800s Monopoly man.
Yes. He was one of those guys who saw someone struggling and would say, "Oh, I can definitely profit off your misery." He paid workers next to nothing. He fought unions like they were the literal devil. And he still found time to bribe everyone in the Montana government.
Is he Jeff Bezos? Or is he Elmo Musk?
Elmo Musk. He seems a little musky.
I mean, he probably was very musky. It was the 1800s.
Right. I'm picturing him in his fancy suit and his musky smell.
And his electric buggy.
Yeah. Well, they probably killed that electric buggy because they had to use gas. Anyway,
sure.
In fact, fun story here, Clark bought himself a seat in the U.S. Senate by straight up handing stacks of cash to the legislators.
Wow.
It was
Imagine
open
that.
process. Yeah, right?
That doesn't happen today.
I wonder if he paid voters if they vote.
I mean, that's happened right here in Washington. Like Hiram Gill would bus in homeless people and put them up in a hotel and pay them to go vote.
Oh, yes. Just wait.
Okay.
There's more to this story. He does these things.
It's a great idea. It really is. One
politician said Clark's bribes were, and I quote, so obvious that they could see them from the moon. Not sure. This is before NASA, so that quote's kind of funny, right? Like,
oh yeah,
you wouldn't really know that you could see it from the moon. And he once gave a kid $10,000 to name his baby after him.
$10,000.
Yes, $10,000 in the late
1800s. $10,000.
Yeah, it was like $1 million today.
Holy baloney! Wow.
Spoiler alert, the kid actually named his kid William A. Clark. I would too, though.
Yeah, I would too.
That kid's going to college.
You pay me $1 million, I will name anything X240 AE or whatever Elmo's kid's name is.
Yes, exactly. Elmo. God, that would be hard, though, now that I think about it. I mean, I have some convictions that I can't.
Well, but no, you can name him that, but then you just call him a nickname, something else completely. Yeah. But his legal name is unpronounceable. Oh, so hold on. Find your place in the story.
Yes.
Put it in your brain because I'm going to derail me for a little bit. Japan has actually passed a law restricting weird children's names.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they were naming them. There were too many people naming their kids after like Pokemon characters.
Oh my gosh. What's wrong with that?
They have passed a law where if you want to name your kid something very, very weird, it is very difficult. So
if it's not already a name that's well known, you're going to have to apply for it.
Yeah.
Get approval.
Yeah. So.
And if it's Pokemon, don't even think about it. You're not getting approval.
I think they're just tired of poor kids growing up with Pokemon names.
Their parents were playing Pokemon Go before. And now, oh gosh.
And it was a great idea.
That's hilarious. Well, saving my place in the story, we're going to take a minute to go imbibe in our own capitalism. We're going to hear from our sponsors.
Cha-ching!
Ching, ching, ching. We'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
And drink my All right. Welcome back from the break. We're all richer now. We are all oligarchs over here in the Rainy Day podcast. Rainy Day Rabbit Holes podcast den.
We're not going to tell you how much money we make per month, but I can tell you that it is 2 digits.
I just heard coins trickling down on the pile while we were sitting here. All right, back to the story. But let's not give Clark all the attention because next we have Marcus Daly. Daly is a little different from Clark, less flashy, more scrappy. Where Clark had a knack for finding opportunity, Daly had a knack for actual mining. He could look at a mountain, a hill, and say, yep,
there's gold in them there hills.
Yep, he started out in gold, 1849 gold rush, kind of dried up all the gold. They moved on to silver. And when they get to silver, Daly, who was an Irish immigrant who started off as a miner, he worked with George Hearst. And George Hearst had bought a claim in Ontario, Canada, and asked Daly to help him get it going. So Daly ran this silver mine in Ontario and made George Hearst a multimillionaire. And so for years after that, Daly had been running mines for other men who had purchased claims but didn't know how to run them or felt like he was better at it. So he ran these
more
claims.
Like speculators.
Yeah, speculators with some money. And he would make these men rich all over, doing both gold, then silver. And then he was finally able to buy his own claim. He found a silver claim called Anaconda.
My Anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
And I wonder how many buns were there. Eventually, there were probably a lot of buns.
Well, when you've got a bunch of miners, you've got a bunch of women that are going to make money off of those miners, and you get it, girl.
They're making money from the buns. So his claim, he was able to purchase for $38,000, but that took every penny he had. So
that's a lot of money back then.
It was a lot of money, and he couldn't get started. He didn't have the infrastructure to start the mining process. So he reaches out to his now friend George Hearst in Ontario, who he's made super rich, and says, "Hey, can you get me started?" And George Hearst says, "Yeah, I want to help you do that." But back to William A. Clark, who now sees that Daly, he's well known for his ability to find ore, whether it's gold, silver, or now copper. They don't know at this point that it will be
He's
copper.
Like a truffle pig, but for
Yeah, he is.
ore.
He's a truffle pig for ore. And Clark knows this and knows he's big time competition if he gets to take off. So he reaches out to George Hearst and says, Daly is not what he says he is, and there is no way this mine and this claim in Anaconda is going to make you any money. You're not going to make your money back. So don't do it. But Hearst said, I know Daly. He made me rich.
Okay.
My million came from his work. I know he can do this. So he went ahead and supported Daly and got that mine cooking. And it became Anaconda Copper Mine. And Anaconda eventually became one of the largest mining operations in the world. So out of his $38,000 claim and some money from his friend George, he made the world's largest mining operation.
Crazy. For copper in particular?
For copper,
wow.
Yes. So eventually he starts to mine the silver And the miners realize something weird, that silver doesn't look right. It's something. It's not gold.
It's kind of yellow.
Yeah. And but Daly knew exactly what it was, and he knew exactly how rich he was about to become. So he was not disappointed in the lack of silver there. So surprisingly, Clark and Daly hated each other, like deeply. They fought over mines, railroads, water rights, and if they could argue about it, they did. Daly once called Clark the most corrupt man in America, which was iconic considering Daly wasn't exactly a saint himself.
Well, and it's also saying something for the time because there was a lot of corrupt people in America at that time. Yeah.
It feels like, now that we've been doing research in this era for a long time, that I don't think there's any uncorrupt people. Right. I don't think you could survive.
The Blackwells.
That's true.
Which we're going on a tour of the Blackwell Mansion tonight, just FYI, with Pretty Gritty Tours. There, we said it. Our obligation.
Yeah.
Our obligatory mention of Pretty Gritty Tours.
Yes, every episode. The feud was so legendary, and the outcome is part of Montana to this day. Clark saw Daly as a competitor and did everything he could to keep him from succeeding. Clark would build his mining operations next to or above to interfere with Daly's. He would make sure all his water flooded out Daly's mining operation.
It's like AutoZone and Nep Auto Parts or whatever. O'Reilly Auto Parts and AutoZone. I think there's like those two. Or Costco or not Costco, Home Depot and Lowe's.
Yes, exactly. Battling it out. But it didn't bother Daly. He just found someone to manufacture and engineer water pumps, and he got those running and went about his business, kept on mining, undeterred. So the most insane competition, though, was in 1894 when Daly decided to lobby for Anaconda, now a town 24 miles from Butte, to become the state capital. Clark, with little to no interest in Helena, decides he's going to lobby for Helena to become the state capital.
Just to be contrary.
Yes. For no other reason than to become Daly's opposition in everything.
I kind of like Clark.
Right?
He's just sassy.
He's so sassy. And the voters actually get to decide, and a campaign is started. They both buy newspapers.
Oh, God, I can't wait for this.
So they're running their own newspapers.
So they each become media magnets as well.
Not social media, but which is...
Newspapers were social media.
Right.
Have you read old-timey newspapers?
They're hilarious. But I'm just... the comparison to now versus then. They each had their own newspaper. They ran the editors. They approved and disapproved every article to make sure that their agenda was...
Well, it'd be like as if Twitter and Meta were actually in a feud with each other instead of like on the same path.
Right. I wonder if one could convince the government that the other had Chinese spies taking all of our information and get it shut down. Something like that. Anyway, they outside of the newspapers, they also held rallies or picnics where they would, host the entire towns full of food, and they gave everyone who came $5 each, a $5 bill. Is that not crazy? They paid them.
And back in the 1800s, everybody went because what else were you going to do? And you're like, and free food and money?
Right. Significant. $5 was not like it is today.
That's a week's worth of wages.
They didn't offer $1 million lottery for it, for your vote. But
for somebody that works for somebody's political campaign, but it's fine.
Right. It was close. So they visited saloons, and they would say, drinks on Helena, or
God,
drinks
that is
on
so smart.
Anaconda. And they would pay for all the drinks that night in the saloon.
It's actually very smart.
Yeah. Very smart.
I could be swayed by some of this stuff.
I feel like Clark did a better job.
Especially if I'm drinking.
Right, exactly. One more and I'll vote for you.
Absolutely. Also, the name Anaconda is just great. I mean, there's going to be an amazing song that is iconic in the future about it.
Based off of it. Yes, definitely. That's where Sir Mix-a-Lot's...
The song is not called Anaconda, but there's just that one line in it that is just epic.
Yes. So Clark definitely did a better job of convincing voters with money, or maybe he had some other skill set, because
maybe he had more money.
In 1894, the voters went to the polls and they voted. 54,000 votes came in, and Helena won.
That's everybody in the country.
Well, there was 50,000 registered voters, so Somehow.
Wait, no.
So yeah, a couple extra came in.
Registered voters and 54,000 votes came in. Do you get an extra vote for each cow that you own?
Oh, maybe. Helena only won by like 2,400 votes.
When was slavery done away with in the United States?
1860 something. Let me see.
And when was this election?
1894.
Okay, so that would be too late to count vote, because I think it used to be that you were given a half vote for each enslaved person that you owned, which, like, whew, then I should be given a half vote for my cat.
What year did I say?
1867.
Oh, 1865.
God, you were so close. Well, yeah, because the Civil War was what, 1864?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing better at dates than I am at math.
Right. So, yeah. And that's when, back when they started mining in Montana, in the 1860s.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So
4,000 extra votes, and Helena only won by 2,400.
It's Canadians.
Ooh, yeah. Maybe they snuck over the border, put in a ballot. Maybe the friends it's not George Hearst's friends. No, wait, because they wrong.
Well, it's 18. So. It's not as if they had like computers to track. So it was probably just people would put in multiple ballots and change their name and like,
did they bring their ID?
Right. Did you bring your birth certificate and your social security card?
Oh, look at that. Your married name doesn't match your birth name. You cannot vote. Oh,
nope.
Wait. They probably weren't letting the ladies vote anywhere. Anyway.
No, they were not.
Nope, they were not. Dang it. All right. Now, there's a third Copper King, James Andrew Murray, and he was kind of a wild card.
Oh my God, another one?
There's actually 4.
Woo!
These two are a little bit less impactful, and the stories known about them are not as wild or huge. They definitely didn't get in a fight about the capital of Montana.
They're like, we don't care, we just want money.
But they were the top 4 copper mining entrepreneurs. So he was so James Andrew Murray was a Canadian-born investor.
Canada. Like we said that like we said something so profound.
Well, you had just mentioned that the Canadians probably came down and voted.
It's the Canadians.
We love Canadians.
Absolutely. Can we be part of it, please?
Right. Murray didn't care much about mining as much as he cared about making money. He bought up land and then resold it for insane profits. He would basically see people struggling, undercut them on their properties before the bank came and got it, and then he would turn around and sell it for a lot of money. So he was making money in the copper industry doing that first. Finally, we get Fritz Augustus Hines. Hines was younger than the other guys, and he made up for his lack of experience with sheer audacity. While Clark and Daly were busy fighting over mining operations and capitals, Hines swooped in with some legal loopholes. He figured out that if you bought land directly above a copper vein, you could technically claim the vein itself, even if it ran into somebody else's property.
Oh.
The tactic was called the Apex Law, and it was shady as hell.
So, like, if you're like, the vein starts with me, so even if it runs into your land, I own the entire vein.
I get the whole thing. I claim it.
Because it's like, I own the mouth of the river or something, like...
Yeah.
Wait, is the mouth the start of the river? Were we talking about intelligence earlier?
I'm trying to think, like, is it the start or the end?
Is
there a different term?
Is it the mouth or the butt of the river?
Is there a mouth on each end?
Oh my God.
Get your Google out. Just
kidding. We sound real dumb. I'm not going to look this up.
We sound real dumb.
Typical. Also, at some point, apparently we said we don't like museums, but I don't remember this, which is a real dumb thing to say for people with a history podcast.
We were probably being sarcastic about something because we always are.
Though we have run across some very boring museums. So
true. Yeah. Maybe it was on one of our road trips or something. Hines wasn't all bad. He was basically Butte's Robin Hood. He paid his workers well, built libraries, and threw massive parties. But he wasn't exactly a hero because he was in it for himself, and his legal shenanigans earned him plenty of enemies. You know, when you basically come in, swoop in, undercut somebody's property, resell it for a huge profit multiple times. You're
right.
In a small town, you not always the favorite.
Yeah. Even though you're like, look, I built this library.
Yeah. And they're like,
look how
I have a feeling that he built these things because they benefited him.
Right. In some way.
His name on it.
Because he probably sold that land to the city for a crazy expensive, Yesler did.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you want to build a jail? Here's this $500 piece of property. I'm going to give it to you for the low bargain price of $3,500.
Right. Oh, and put my name on it.
Yeah.
So by the 1890s, these four guys were all in an all-out war over Butte's copper. And let me tell you, it was ugly. Bribes, lawsuits, sabotage, you name it. At one point, Hines literally dynamited the competitor's mine shaft.
That's a way to deal with it.
Yeah. There's you can see pictures online, like it's just on the edge of town. So there's this town with your old West town, so the tall buildings with the face front.
Right, the wooden building with a wooden sidewalk in front.
Yeah. And there's a horse. Yeah. And then at the very end is this whole collapsed structure.
Screw all the people that may have been affected by this, but
nope.
Gotta do what we gotta do.
It's the 1800s.
Right.
Eat or be eaten.
Yeah, you're running over somebody to get ahead.
Eat or be eaten. Meanwhile, the miners are all working in horrific conditions. Cave-ins, fires, toxic gases. It was a death trap.
Yeah.
The most infamous disaster was the Granite Mountain Fire in 1917. This is a little bit later, but still in that era of the copper era. A spark ignited an oil-soaked cable, and the whole mine went up in flames. 168 miners died.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
It's still one of the deadliest mining disasters in U.S. history.
Wow.
But did the Copper Kings care?
No.
Nope. As long as the money kept rolling,
they were probably
so
upset
did the workers.
That production got shut down for a week or two.
At one point, Daly says, "A man is cheaper than a mule. Keep going."
Nice.
But yeah, right. It's just think about that for a second. A man is cheaper than a mule. And now, because a man is so expensive. No, wait.
Is he Jeff Bezos?
And now, since we can't even afford a mule, we're going to go see our sponsors.
God, that's a terrible transition, but we're going with it. Help us afford a mule. No, we would never use podcast dollars to buy a mule. Where are we going to keep it?
Oh, I have a yard. I'm keeping. Oh my gosh!
Mules are supposedly very nice creatures.
They are.
They're like the Labradors of the horse world.
I think I'd rather have a donkey though. They're just.
You want a miniature donkey?
Funny. They're so cute and funny.
You want a miniature donkey, and you teach it to pack, so that when you go on hikes, it has a pack on it, and you hike with your miniature. You would never get any hiking done because everyone would stop to pet your miniature donkey.
I'd be afraid I'd be like attracting like bobcats and bears, and then I would die if something happened to my donkey.
Oh God, yeah.
I guess if I just bring what I bring for bears and bobcats for myself,
and bring Larry.
I don't know.
He's too dumb.
I love Larry. He is the sweetest giant yellow lab, size of a deer.
He
is not going anywhere with me.
No.
I've taken him hiking before.
His anxiety?
No. He gets his nose when it's on. His ears are not.
His brain turns off.
Yeah,
when his nose turns on.
That leash means nothing. Your words are. He can't hear you.
And he weighs as much as you, so
more. Yeah,
yeah.
He's a big boy.
So he's gonna pull you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he does pull because he's got his nose on something, and you're just like, you can't. That thick skull's like, I'm busy.
He's the goodest boy, though.
He is the goodest.
He really is the goodest boy.
Now that Shay and I can buy our miniature donkey.
Not yet. We need more patrons.
What should we name him? Should we name him Sasquatch or Squatch?
Squatch. Oh, Squatch the donkey.
Squatch the donkey.
Oh my God. Miniature donkey. Let's do it.
All right. It's our mascot.
Don't let your grandkids hear this because they're going to demand that you buy a miniature donkey.
Well, they're going to go with me to pick him out.
Are you going to buy a miniature donkey now?
I might have to. Keith's going to hear this.
I was about to say, Keith is going to kill me. I am not encouraging you to buy a miniature donkey, Keith. I told her it's a bad idea, Keith. Can't blame me for all.
It's not.
You can't blame me for all of Jody's bad decisions. Actually, I can't say that the cats were a bad decision. They were an amazing decision. But
yep, this is where my husband finds out we're getting a miniature donkey.
Keith, sorry, I tried to stop her.
I can't wait to see that text come through. We're getting a what?
And then I'm going to get a text that says F you.
All right, back to the story.
Like when I forced you to show him the picture of the scar in my armpit, and it looks like a lady's private parts with a hairy behind. And I was like, just show him this picture and don't say anything.
It should have been video. It should have been captured on video.
That was like the highlight of my month.
Same.
Was when he texts me, F you.
He's like, what are you doing? Does she know she's showing you? You're showing me that? What are you doing? And I was like, yeah, she told me to. What?
It was my armpit.
But
it looked exactly like a very ugly woman's vulva.
And anus. You
can
just
anus
totally
with hair. Because I couldn't shave my armpit for like a month because I had this giant scar in there from my surgery. But it was so like the moment amazing. I took the picture, I was like, I have to send this to someone. I'm gonna send it to Jody. I can't send it to my brother.
And she said, show it to Keith. So I did. And he was backing up. He's like, wait, what are you doing? Does she know you're showing me that?
Because I just sent Jody pictures of my vulva.
Right.
We're that close. In fact, I think when our husbands are dead, we're just going to be together.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning of it. My armpit vulva. God,
it's my favorite part of your body. The best part is when you said...
Did I say vulva on the radio? Because we've said vulva now 6 times.
My favorite when she said, my downstairs is way prettier than that.
It's true. My armpit vulva is messed up looking vulva.
Oh, my God. Oh, gosh. You know what? Since it is just an armpit and not what it looks like, we should post that.
Oh, my God.
After this episode, you can go to our website.
Well, no, this is for the patrons only. It's like an OnlyFans, but it's my armpit. So I will post this. I will make a post. If you want to see what we're talking about, you have to join the Patreon.
Yes.
So I'll also put it up for sale if you don't want a monthly. I'll put it up for sale for $3 and you can see my armpit vulva. It's my OnlyFans.
It's the best.
Oh, God.
His mom was standing behind him, and she was like, why would she send you that? What is wrong with her?
Yes, exactly. What is wrong with me? Oh, my God.
I
scandalized Carolyn. This is the best thing I've ever done. This is my legacy.
It is. It's an indelible memory for me anyway.
Oh, God, please bring this up at my funeral if I die before you. Have it be one of the pictures in the slideshow.
Yes. On the display next to the casket. Like
there's a picture of me and then a picture of my armpit.
3x4, and I mean feet photo.
On an easel with a wreath.
Yes. And then there's a copy that's going to go in your casket with you.
Casket? You mean on top of me when I'm being cremated?
Yeah, I'll throw it in the
composted.
It'll be composted with you.
Yes, great. I love it. Okay.
All right, back to the story. Anyway, eventually, the Copper King's greed would not offer more immortality. Daly died of diabetes in 1900, but his Anaconda company kept on growing.
Sorry, every time you say Anaconda.
Yep, go.
My Anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hon.
All right, there might be one more time.
Am I going to get tagged for copyright violations?
They'd have to recognize. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. I don't sound anything like Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Clark retired to New York, where he built himself a 121-room mansion.
What?
Yes. Short, fat man and a musky man in his fancy suit and all by himself in his 121-room mansion. Actually,
what do you do with 121 rooms?
Right.
Wander around?
So
get 121 cats and they each have their own room?
Oh, yeah.
I could do that.
You could be a total cat lady. He was just kind of a subtle guy, so he needed a subtle guy.
Right.
Hines was forced out of Butte after a bunch of lawsuits and moved back to New York, where he lost all of his money in a banking scandal.
Did he participate in the ketchup wars?
No, he's
different Hines.
Different Hines. And then Murray, he just faded off into obscurity. Nobody knows what happened to him.
I forgot about him anyway.
Right. He had a brief little mention in the whole thing.
I forgot he existed in the story at all.
I don't know why there is even 4 because he's so minimal. I probably could have just left him out, but I wanted to say 4 because when you look this up, you're going to find 4. Okay. And I didn't want to just rewrite the story without him. But today, Butte is still shaped by the Copper Kings. It's the Berkeley Pit, a massive open pit mine, and now a Superfund site.
They put the fun in Superfund.
They sure did. It's still a Superfund. It's still filled with toxic water. You can actually see it when you're driving on the freeway by. You can see this big empty, like you can see where they mined. It's a hole in the hillside. So it's
and don't they use like sulfuric acid or something in copper mining? I want to say something like that. Yeah, something really gross and toxic. And
it's pretty bad.
Fun. Yeah, and then birds land on it and they drink it and die horribly.
But the legacy continues in Butte, Montana. There are museums, convention centers, and even a hotel named after Clark.
And yes, we would go to one of the museums.
Yes, I would totally go to this museum.
Sorry, lady, that thinks we don't like museums.
His mansion in Butte is a museum now.
Ooh, the 121 room one?
No, that's back in New York. That was
okay.
The 121 room mansion was his retirement home.
Like you do. I'm in. I would do it.
That's not where he lived when he worked.
But I'd have 121 cats.
That stinks.
God, I know.
Your house smells from here.
You have a catio on the back. That's the litter box.
Yeah. So the story of the Copper Kings, a bunch of rich dudes who destroyed lives and an entire ecosystem in the name of money.
And environment.
But hey, at least they gave us a solid metaphor for corporate greed, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for... Oh, that's the end. I didn't want to include that part.
Oh, that's the end. Okay, you want me to take us home, Jody? Clearly, it's like me. It's like when Rich and I go on a road trip and he drives the whole way, and like somewhere around hour 8, I'm like, "You want me to drive?" And he's like, "We're 15 minutes away. Think I'm good." I'm like, "I'll take it on into the driveway for you."
Yes, please take us home because clearly I have spent every brain cell just getting the story out.
Through that. Well, thank you so much for that story. It's nice to visit Montana again.
Yes.
So go back and listen to our episode about the Montana State Prison. That was a really fun one. That's where we were talking about, that's where we came up with soggy bricks and dicks in the attic.
Yes.
Like Richard's in the attic, not like the anatomy, yeah. No, like the anatomy. Can we say that on the radio? You got to catch it. No. Okay. And bazooka shooting bazooka bubblegum.
Right. Because they shot bazookas in there.
Yes, that's all we think of.
We still have to go do an overnight tour there.
Well, we needed to take Caitlin and Cassie from P&W Haunts.
Oh, yes, that would be so much
fun. That is a road trip that we need to plan. Anyways, thank you so much, you guys. Remember, you can join our Patreon. Just visit rainydayrabitholes.com/support. And you have links. You have a couple of choices. You can join our Patreon where you get bonus content. You get merch discounts. On the upper tiers, you actually get free merch. And if you don't want to bother with all that stuff, you just want the bonus episodes, you can join Springer Supporters Club for $3 a month. So it's, that's very cheap. The other thing you get, though, by joining the Patreon is ad-free episodes. And I have been busy adding all of our back catalog to the Patreon. And there is actually a special RSS feed that you add to your podcast player so that you can play all of those episodes ad-free. It's pretty fancy.
Fancy schmancy.
Don't know how it works. There's an article.
And the big bonus of the day that we just came up with today, you get to see Shay's armpit vulva.
I will do this. Unlike Jody's boobs, she's not willing to share a picture of those. I will share my armpit vulva.
Absolutely true. I will not.
One of these days, we're just going to get a picture of your cleavage, but then it'll turn out it's just your elbow.
Yes.
Anyway, and also at rainydayrabbitheholes.com/umbrella, you can check out the other podcasts in our Umbrella Podcast Collective. And that's our collaborative community of amazing podcasters that you have heard on our shows with our different guests, and support them. You can also find links to our social media. We are now on Blue Sky and Mastodon, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. And you can comment on any of our posts if you want to chat with us, or you can email me at shay@rainydayrabbitheholes.com. So if you want to tell us that you are disappointed in us for not liking museums, we will go, huh? Because we will have forgotten saying something that stupid. But we appreciate all of your feedback. You can also, please, this really helps us, go rate us on Apple Podcasts. Hopefully it's a 5-star rating. If it's a 1-star rating, just keep that to yourself.
You can email it to us. Don't put it out there for others.
Yes, but again, if you have a negative comment for us, please tell us what episode and what we talked about so that we can think about it. Like the naughty, naughty girls we are.
We are.
Yeah. Thank you so much, you guys, and we will see you next time.
See you down the rabbit hole.
The year is 1888, and we find ourselves in the far-flung corner of the United States, called the Pacific Northwest, in the two small towns of Seattle and Ballard. Under rainy gray skies and among the giant old-growth pine forests, there are secrets hiding, invisible to most people, except for those with the second sight. Join us for a new actual play podcast called Spirits and Monsters of Old Seattle. My name is Brian Kershaw, and I'll be your host and game master for this trip into a supernatural Seattle, where my friends and I will be playing a role-playing game called Vossen. Our show is a mix of comedy and horror, and we would love for you to join us. You can find episodes at spiritsandmonsters.com, or follow and subscribe for new episodes every other Wednesday on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We can't wait for you to join us.